Trump despises Zelenskyy pathologically. It is a visceral, physiological disgust, both his appearance and the very sound of his voice. And I have warned you about this for years. I told you many times not to vote for him. Now get what you deserve. That's my first point. Trump dislikes Zelenskyy on a physiological level. Second, Trump absolutely cannot grasp, and he shouldn't even try to, what Ukraine is as a distinct substance. Why? He simply does not know what Ukraine is historically. Trump has never listened to Ukrainian operas or watched Ukrainian ballets, not a whiff of Ukrainian cinema. And even if we mention one Armenian genius, Parajanov I mean, who studied in Moscow and was after all a Soviet citizen, his work in and about Ukraine does not make it any clearer. His shadows of forgotten ancestors are just shadows, a myth conjured by his genius. They are mere ethnographic fragments, and even if we were to explain this to Trump, it would mean nothing to him. But he does know of the Russian Empire and the USSR. He may not like these entities, he may even see them as grand and dangerous rivals, but he knows they existed, and so does the entire world. He also knows and grasps what Fabergé is. Fabergé is ritzy kitsch, but still he's heard of it. He knows it's an object of bargaining at the auctions, a museum exhibit, everyone has heard of it. But neither he nor the Republicans nor the French nor Italians know anything about Ukraine. They all acknowledge it is a victim. What a pity, they are the victims, grant. But no one can live forever as a victim. It may work for a time, but not in the long run. That's why I've been saying in my live streams, Ukraine must first of all take control of its economy, its culture, its military power. Stop running around with priests. Stop shrieking about your underbred speech language. Cut this hysteria. And now, as they hear me, some will erupt into fits of hysterics. But I warned you long before the conflict began. Stop doing this and that, or you will regret it. And I've been telling you, my darlings, stop being rude to Trump, to the Republicans. Come on, my followers, go search for my videos from 2015 up until everything began in February 2022, especially my interviews, live streams and posts, all carrying one clear message: don't be rude to your benefactors. Above all, rudeness is a mark of a lack of culture, and you were rude, insolent and wretched. Zelenskyy and his entire party were openly hostile toward Trump because they insulted him, wished him the worst, and even interfered in American elections. Think about how moronic these cockadoodles must have been to fly all the way across the ocean just to support that Harris freak. Just think of it. And Harris, who visited Zelenskyy once, told him to bug out, run away. Now you're a president in exile. That was her brilliant plan. Think again. Biden let you down with knobs on. And as vulturous as your Cheka opponent may be, do you really believe he acted carelessly, without weighing all the pros, cons and potential consequences? Oh, he calculated all right. He assessed, and what did he see? He saw that Biden is a retarded asshole, a leftist who can only talk and do nothing. You've lost so many people despite Biden and his caboodle's repetitive visits, despite their constant "you're so great," goodbye charades, missile onslaughts and his goodbyes. That's all you got. Meanwhile, your mobster seized power and dove headfirst into money laundering. Now I believe some criminal cases are in the works, so you've got some internal strife on your hands. I assume this scandal with yet another Minister of Defense, well, that's a total raining a zoo. Corruption exists everywhere, and we have our share of it too, but your brand of it stands alone. You've outmatched everyone, even the most corrupt hotshots of our regime. That's an achievement, I say. In fact, corruption in Ukraine deserves its own category. A study exploring how it evolved anthropologically and historically, it's worthy of a documentary. Trump despises Zelenskyy and doesn't understand what Ukraine actually is, but, and this is the crucial but, you may be surprised, but he genuinely wants to help Ukrainians, and he will. He was the first before anyone else to give Ukrainians powerful weapons to defend their land. And let me remind you, during his term, there were no problems. Contrast that with Obama, who wasn't even born in the US. His birth certificate is a forgery, and not Hawaii either. He was a non-American who caused Americans a disaster. He hated Americans, white Americans, and he openly supported Middle Eastern terrorists, officially, abusing taxpayer money. Under his rule, all the world's dictators were let loose, all the Eastern dictators. Obama, the leftist, is the guilty one. So, Trump will help. He already is. On that note, I'd like to moniker Trump. What I'm about to say now, you must repeat, but make sure to credit me as the author. Otherwise, the Moika River awaits you. You know this edifying tale, and many others just like it, ones you haven't even heard of yet. The thing is, I called Trump Ronald Trump. Just a few hours after his inauguration, he set the course of his foreign policy exactly in line with what was once chosen by Ronald Reagan. This is the path I've been talking about for the last 20 years. It'll take you 5 to 10 seconds to scour the internet and find how I responded to one of my viewers. He asked me, many are desperate to know, when will he collapse? It's pretty simple, I said. He'll collapse along with oil prices. Give it a couple of months. When oil is $10 a barrel, Putin will never step down on his own. Never. He might slap on a new title, Emperor of the Universe, Bogda Khan, some other bogus role in some phony state council. It doesn't matter. The point is, he won't just walk away. When oil prices hit the currency I mentioned, he'll be removed the hard way. Understand? They'll take him out hard. Of course, I don't mean the people will do it. I don't even know what the people means. That term is unscientific. That's why negotiations with Saudi Arabia. To repeat what happened once in the 80s. Why is it all about oil prices? Well, because slaves have no self-respect. Hard to imagine it otherwise. Waiting until slaves proclaim, "We won't be slaves anymore," is foolishness. And I've told you many times, all these solidarity round delays do nothing but harm. That's why Trump is Ronald Trump. It's Reaganomics, to influence oil prices alongside the Emirates. And his initial steps, just like the pace of my speech, are nothing short of a ballet. The Russian ballet, I say. Maya Plesetskaya, no less, and we were good friends in her final years. That being said, Trump will help Ukraine by all means possible. When you hear, "Oh, but he'll negotiate with Putin," well, who else is he supposed to negotiate with? If you want to achieve something effective, if you want to save Ukrainian lives, negotiations are unavoidable. Call it good or bad or whatever, but he's not the Virgin Mary. He has to talk to a man who has the power to give orders. Like it or not, there is no other way. I've told you again and again, throughout my entire active life, this is not how how I want it to be. I didn't create the universe. I didn't start the conflict. In fact, I did everything in my power to prevent it. I'm not the architect of modern Russia or the USA or whatever Ukraine imagines itself to be. These patterns are not my invention. As a scientist, I can offer you only one precise explanation: what has been, what is happening now, and what will happen next. Every assessment I make, every prediction I put forward is not only scientifically flawless, but at times almost mystically prescient. You can recall it all. Notre Dame scorched by Islamists. European nations, us included, may bury their heads in the sand, ignoring obvious threats and refusing to name them. But that will only last until the day comes when not 5, not 100, but 1,000 people are slaughtered every single day. When they blow up the Notre Dame, that's when the alarm will finally sound. Let's face the truth. An age-old menace driven by a certain religious ideology has one goal: to conquer all of Europe. Twice they were stopped, at Paris, at Vienna. Now they've been welcomed inside. Look here, where did this new terrorist come from? Somalia. Nobody bombed Somalia. Last week's terrorist, Morocco. Nobody bombed Morocco. What's the common threat? They all follow the same religious ideology. And how I predicted the conflict of 2022, everyone else insisted it won't start, but only I said it will. I even made a public statement declaring it would begin. Back in 2014, I even said how they would name this conflict. I was the first to call it a military operation, not some other scientist, not a journalist, not even Putin or his ministers, not Trump either. It was me. I predicted it, and nobody listened. Millions watched my videos. Millions heard what I said, but they didn't listen. And it's all meaningless if you don't listen.